Hello everyone. Before we dive into today's story, I'd love to ask for your support. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest content. Your comments mean the world to us, so don't hesitate to share your thoughts. Now, let's get started with the story. The town was gripped in terror, haunted by a menacing wolf-like beast that prowled and destroyed everything in its path. Lives were lost, homes were torn apart, and fear grew with every nightfall. Eventually, the townspeople resolved to fight back. After a long struggle, they managed to drive the beast away, though at a heavy cost. Survivors gathered, clutching their wounds, determined to rebuild and overcome the darkness. Years later, this tale was told by an elder to a group of wide-eyed children, who huddled close, shivering in fear. Amidst this tense atmosphere, two characters were introduced: Chieftain Ikmenbek of the Cho tribe and his son, who seemed unusually anxious. The son muttered about a mysterious person named Mokrin, clearly frustrated. Wandered off again, and at a time like this. It seemed something urgent loomed over them, made all the more pressing by a strange, blood-stained letter they'd received a month prior. The son admitted with regret, "We should have ignored it. But, then again, we didn't really have a choice." The scene shifted to a dramatic moment where the contents of the ominous letter were revealed under flickering candlelight. The chieftain, who had been reading, recoiled in shock. The letter held serious, unsettling news, demanding immediate action. Meanwhile, a figure with fiery red hair strode into the Cho tribe's village, her very presence demanding attention. She was greeted by Mijin Bek, another tribal chieftain, and his older companion. "I'm Mijin." The red-haired newcomer was none other than Woljin Ju, the chieftain of the Frenblood tribe. Though polite, Woljin had an intensity that made it clear she was not to be trifled with. "Shall we have a look around your village?" she suggested, her eyes gleaming with curiosity, and perhaps something more. In another corner of the village, a young woman sat in tears, venting her frustrations to her father. "You just don't understand me," she cried, wiping her eyes. The father, unfazed, shook his head. "Look, you can't just charge into battle alone. You're not ready to face trained warriors," he said firmly. She huffed, arguing, "There must be a way for me to help without everyone else's involvement." But her father, clearly exhausted by the conversation, cut her off. "I've taught you all you need to know. Now, stay safe and avoid trouble." Later, the young woman was resting by a tree when she heard the sound of someone approaching. Suddenly, a man appeared, panting and looking over his shoulder. Without warning, he swooped her up in his arms. From a distance, Woljin spotted them and sprinted over, shouting, "Mother!" at the young woman, who was now dangling helplessly in the stranger's grasp. Unbothered by the shocked onlookers, the man puffed out his chest and declared with pride, "I present to you, my bride." Gasps and confused stares rippled through the crowd, especially from Woljin and a group of warriors who'd gathered nearby. "Look at this child. I want to marry her," he proclaimed again, twirling the poor girl around as if she were a trophy. The girl, Mokrin, simply hung there, dazed and too stunned to protest. "Mokrin," Ikmen wailed, feeling faint at the sight of his daughter being carted off. Father, Mok Hyeon, his son, held him back as the kidnapper, now introducing himself as Yonyang, cheekily rubbed cheeks with Mokrin, grinning like a kid on his birthday. "When's the wedding?" Woljin asked eagerly, still smiling as if she'd just seen the greatest show on earth. "Marriage," Ikmen stammered, barely catching his breath. Yonyang, oblivious to the awkwardness, insisted, "Your daughter seems to like me." He gestured to Mokrin, who was frozen with shock, barely processing the whirlwind around her. Ikmen tried to buy time. Maybe not too soon." Yonyang looked ready to protest, muttering impatiently, 3 days. 4 days. Ikmen, desperately stalling, blurted out, "At least 5 years." Yonyang's enthusiasm deflated instantly, his face going from eager to horrified. 5 years. I thought we were talking days, not decades." Seeing Yonyang's fiery reaction, Ikmen quickly added, "Look, if you care about Mokrin, you'll respect her culture, and her calendar." Calming down, Yonyang declared dramatically, "Fine. I can wait 10, no, 20 years. The absurdity of his overcompensation made even the stoic warriors burst into laughter, their weapons raised in a playful salute to his supposed patience. The sound of their laughter echoed through the village, becoming a legend among the townsfolk for years. Meanwhile, back at Mokrin's house, a guard stationed at her door called out shakily, "Don't worry, Mokrin. I'll protect you. Go." Judging by the quiver in his voice, she suspected she was better off fending for herself. Inside, Ikman paced nervously. "Mokrin, I'm sorry, but if I didn't agree to this marriage, we'd be in trouble. Serious, town-crushing trouble." Mokrin sighed, resigning herself to the chaos. "Yes, Dad, I understand. But really, why couldn't I have a normal life without bloodthirsty clans and overexcited suitors?" And with a sigh of relief, she thought to herself, 5 years should be long enough for him to forget about me, right? It had been 4 years since the last festival in the village, and the whole place was buzzing with excitement. As villagers prepared for the grand wedding celebrations, she and her friends couldn't help but gather in a corner to gossip. One of the girls sighed dramatically, "I can't wait for the wedding ceremony." "Oh, the excitement, the food." Just then, Mokrin arrived, raising an eyebrow. "Isn't it sad, though? The boy you used to like is getting married now," she teased with a smirk. Another friend chimed in, "Oh, that was ages ago. I've moved on, mostly," she muttered, trying to save face. A third girl jumped into the conversation. "Have you heard they're adding 2 more dishes to the wedding feast tonight?" she said, eyes sparkling. Everyone's faces lit up. She clapped her hands together. 2 more dishes. What do you think they'll add? Red bean rice cakes, veggie rolls, grilled skewers. I want to eat it all," she squealed, practically drooling. "Oh my goodness, you have an appetite of a bear," one girl teased, nudging her. She paused and then, changing the topic suddenly, whispered, "By the way, have you all heard about the couple's, main duty, tonight?" She leaned in closer, glancing around. All the girls froze. "What do you mean?" one of them asked, suddenly whispering. "Oh, you know," she said, trying to keep a straight face, "another step toward bringing a child into this world." She raised her eyebrows, feigning innocence. One of her friends gasped, "Oh my. Don't say it so loudly." But everyone burst into a fit of giggles. Another girl, who seemed a bit more mischievous, said, "Hey, have you heard? Those people from the mainland, I heard they, do it all night." She widened her eyes for dramatic effect. A girl shrieked in shock, "How improper. How exhausting." They all laughed, though some looked slightly horrified. In the midst of the laughter, she remembered her engagement to a boy from the mainland. Suddenly, the mood shifted, and one of the girls awkwardly muttered, "Oh, we didn't mean to make it weird." She forced a smile. "No, it's okay. It's been 4 years. Maybe they forgot about me and the engagement," she said, half hopeful. Her friends, sensing the tension, quickly mumbled excuses. "Oh, I need to help my mom with some things," one said, inching away. "I have laundry to do," said another, and soon, all the girls scattered, leaving her standing alone. "Maybe I'll just go hunting on the mountain," she muttered to herself, hoping a bit of adventure would lighten her mood. On her way up the mountain, she noticed some villagers looking miserable. One was clutching his head dramatically. "Mainlanders are nothing but trouble. One of them bumped into me, and now I'm injured." An elderly man was whining. She shook her head. "They're just walking around, and people act like they're demons," she thought, laughing to herself. As she wandered further, she spotted a rabbit, her spirits lifting. "Perfect," she whispered, sneaking up on it. Just as she pounced, the rabbit darted away, leaving her empty-handed. "Great, just great," she huffed, looking around. Then she spotted a beautiful crystal-like flower and thought, "I'll pick this instead. At least I won't go back empty-handed." But as she reached out, she felt a sharp sting. "Ow," she yelped, realizing a snake had bitten her. She froze in terror as the snake hissed, ready to strike again. Out of nowhere, a shadow appeared, and with one swift motion, a large figure drove the snake away. The man knelt beside her, grasping her ankle and lowering his face to the bite. Before she could protest, he sucked the venom out and spat it aside. She, blushing furiously, stammered, "Who are you?" The man looked up, wiping his mouth. "It's me." Her face turned red. "Oh, you're back," she mumbled, heart racing as she recognized her long-forgotten fiancé. As she watched him suck the venom from her leg, she felt a pang of worry. "Are you all right?" she asked, leaning toward him, eyes wide. "Please tell me you didn't swallow it, okay?" He gave a half smile, trying to reassure her. "Don't worry, I didn't swallow it," he said. But as he spoke, she thought, for someone who just got a mouthful of snake venom, he's surprisingly calm. "Maybe I need to find some antidote." Taking charge, she added, "We should head back to the village. You need to get checked out." She tried to pull herself up but nearly stumbled, her head spinning a little. He quickly caught her, taking her hand as though she were a child, practically dragging her along by one hand while her other arm flopped in the air. She was a bit dazed, thinking, "Why am I floating?" As he led her, she couldn't help but look up at him, towering above her. The scene might have been terrifying, but she found it oddly funny. Just then, she heard a voice shout from behind them. "Mokrin, are you all right?" called her friend. She managed a weak smile before fainting right then and there. Later, she slowly came to, hearing the deep voice of her fiancé, his words gradually coming into focus as he waved at her cheerfully. "Hello, how have you been?" he asked. Wait, she thought, blinking in confusion. Wasn't he supposed to come back after the 5-year agreement? Why is he here a year early? She tried to focus, her mind buzzing with questions. He kept talking, excitement lighting up his face as he babbled about greeting her brothers and how relieved he was that he could help her. She looked at him, trying to process everything. He was practically scanning her from head to toe, as if to make sure she was all right, and the whole thing felt oddly wholesome. She finally managed a reply, I'm fine, thanks to you." Still dazed, she thought, "He's probably here as an envoy for my brother's wedding, nothing more." "Calm down, girl." But she couldn't help asking, "Are you sure you're okay after sucking out all that venom? How are you even standing?" He chuckled, "Oh, I'm fine. I've been building up my resistance to poisons since I was young, almost died the first time, but hey, it worked out." He grinned, a bit too cheerfully for her taste. She looked at him, wide-eyed, thinking, what kind of place is the mainland if kids are building up poison resistance for fun? Just then, a rock flew out of nowhere, and he caught it with ease. She gasped, but he only chuckled, casually crumbling the rock into dust with one hand. Her eyes widened as he brushed the rock dust off with a smirk. "Oh, I haven't seen you in ages," he said. "Are you even listening?" She gulped, trying not to show her fear. "Don't look terrified, don't look terrified," she chanted inwardly. Then he tilted his head, studying her. "I almost didn't recognize you, you've changed so much, especially your hair. It's gotten longer since the last time I saw you." Hearing this, he practically beamed, his eyes sparkling like a golden retriever who'd just been petted. "Thank goodness you recognized me," he said joyfully. "I've been training for 4 years, you know. Fighting polar bears, sleeping in caves, hunting for food, tough life, but it's worth it." And then, without warning, he proudly opened his shirt to reveal his abs. She nearly choked, her cheeks burning red as she covered her eyes in embarrassment. "What are you doing?" she stammered, peeking through her fingers. He continued, oblivious to her reaction. "I've never once cut my hair during these 4 years, it's a token of my dedication. So, what do you think?" He looked at her, waiting eagerly. "Do you like this version of me better?" She glanced at him, heart pounding. He looked majestic with his long hair, golden eyes, and tanned skin, like some kind of mythical warrior. But what could she say? After a moment's hesitation, she blurted out, "You look dirty." For a split second, his joyful expression froze. The sparkle in his eyes dimmed, and his lips quivered. He looked like a child who'd just been told their favorite toy was broken. "Dirty," he murmured, a little teary-eyed. By the time they reached her house, He was still muttering to himself, "Dirty, she thinks I'm dirty," like a disappointed puppy. Inside, her father and brother were there, looking at the gifts his tribe members had brought. "Wow," her father said, eyes wide. "They've sent a lot of wedding gifts." But seeing him looking so gloomy, her father asked, "What happened to him?" Her brother chuckled, "I think Yonyang here had a little misunderstanding. Seems like someone called him dirty." Yonyang kept mumbling sadly, "She called me dirty." Her brother and father exchanged glances. They seemed more determined than ever. Her brother whispered to his father, "Just waiting and hoping they'll forget the engagement won't work. We're going to need a plan." Her father sighed, nodding. "Yes, time to come up with a real plan." That night, Yonyang's tribe was preparing for the hunt, bustling with activity under the moonlight. Mokrin's brother, watching them, thought, "There's no way I'm letting this guy marry my sister." But a thought nagged him, what if she does marry him? He felt a chill and immediately stomped off toward his sister. When he found Mokrin, she was fidgeting with her hair, clearly a bit lost in thought. "What's up with you?" he asked, sitting down beside her. She gave him a puzzled look, but he went on, "After 4 years, I thought they'd never come back, but here we are. We have to be careful. That guy, he's no ordinary suitor. He's a dangerous monster in disguise, hiding his true nature behind a smile." Mokrin chuckled, Yes, you're right. And yet, he did save my life. Calling him an evil monster feels a bit harsh, doesn't it?" She tried to erase the memory of him sucking snake venom from her leg, waving her hands around like a cartoon character trying to brush away a thought bubble. Her brother looked at her like she'd lost her mind. "Anyway," she continued, trying to be serious again, "we'll stay vigilant. They're monsters, I tell you." Her brother patted her shoulder. "Good. Just let me or father know if they try anything funny, all right? Good night, dear sister." He left, and she replied sweetly, "Sweet dreams, brother." After he was gone, Mokrin sank down and thought, what a day. Her mind drifted back to Yonyang, and her heart started pounding as she recalled his absurdly close proximity earlier. She muttered to herself, how could he act so boldly? Doesn't he know what personal space is? She clenched her fists, vowing to practice some self-defense. Meanwhile, Yonyang was in his room, muttering to himself as he held a knife. One swift cut, he thought, bringing the blade up, then hesitated. In the morning, Mokrin hiked up the mountain, planning to train herself. She crafted a spear, hurling it forward, only for it to flop and fall miserably short. She pouted, I wish I had a real warrior to teach me. She was about to throw it again when a voice called out, not like that. Let me show you. Startled, she turned and saw Yonyang, who had snuck up on her. He took her hand and adjusted her posture, practically whispering in her ear. He's so close, he thought, cheeks flushed. Never look away from your target, he advised. She turned, exclaiming, you're too close. She looked up and found herself staring into his eyes, taking in his golden hair, the scars that added ruggedness to his handsome face. Do I know you? She asked, caught off guard. Yonyang's jaw dropped. You don't remember me. His eyes welled up, looking like a golden retriever whose ball had been taken away. Mokrin, realizing who he was, finally said, wait, Yonyang. I remember now. Instantly, he cheered up, wiping away imaginary tears. Oh, thank goodness. I thought you'd forgotten me completely. He grinned, checking her for any scratches. Mokrin blinked, thinking, did a haircut really make him look this different? Asterisk. She glanced at his face and noticed a cut. Did you cut your face while cutting your hair? He blushed, scratching his head. Yeah, just a tiny scratch. I'm a bit clumsy with knives, it seems. He brushed off her concern, saying, but what about your hand? Are you hurt from your fall? Blushing, she replied, it's nothing. Yonyang held her hand gently. I wouldn't want a single scratch on this hand of yours. She watched, amused, as he doted on her like a puppy, oblivious to his own bleeding cut. She couldn't help but laugh, and he looked so overjoyed at her smile he seemed to glow. At that moment, his nose started bleeding. Seeing this, Mokrin tried to dab it away with a cloth, but the more she helped, the redder he got, his nosebleed worsening. Yonyang thought, I can't tell her that the sight of her is making this worse. Panicking, he quickly mumbled, I'll see you later, okay. Bye. He hurried off, leaving Mokrin utterly confused. What happened just now? She thought, a bit curious but shaking her head. He's acting so strange, I should get to know him better. Back at her home, the family physician had arrived. Mokrin, have you been up the mountain practicing again? He asked, catching her off guard. You should be helping with the wedding preparations, not roaming around. When he left, Mokrin approached a village guard and whispered, please don't tell anyone I went to the mountain, okay? Later, she saw some herbs by the gate and had an idea. Maybe these can help with Yonyang's nosebleed. She went to his quarters, but he wasn't there. Mokrin was about to leave Yonyang's quarters when she noticed a soft light flickering nearby. Curiosity got the best of her, and she crept closer, wondering if he was there. As she peered around the corner, she froze. There was Yonyang, taking a bath. The water was over his skin, highlighting every ripple and curve of his toned muscles. His back was broad, and as he leaned forward, his shoulders flexed, revealing scars from battles past. Her gaze drifted over his arms, strong and capable, as he scrubbed his hair. His golden hair, now damp, clung to his face, making him look almost ethereal. Oh no, I shouldn't be here, she thought, but she couldn't bring herself to look away. He's actually kinda beautiful, she admitted to herself, her cheeks blazing. She knew she should turn and leave, but her feet felt glued to the ground. Yonyang, meanwhile, thought he'd heard something and stepped out, in a small towel wrapped precariously around his waist. Is someone there? He called out, looking around with a curious frown. He noticed a small basket nearby, with herbs and a note. His eyes lit up, instantly realizing Mokrin had left them. He looked back at the stream, then down at himself. Did she see me? The thought made him blush, and he chuckled softly, suddenly feeling as flustered as a lovesick puppy. How thoughtful. He was so happy he absent-mindedly ran outside with his towel barely clinging on, shouting, thank you, Mokrin. Forgetting he was practically naked. As for Mokrin, she sprinted back toward her home, her heart racing, the image of Yonyang's naked body unwilling to leave her mind. I'll never be able to look him in the eye again. The next day, Yonyang approached her, still giddy. Mokrin could barely look him in the eye without blushing, the memory of last night haunting her. Mokrin, I got something for you, he said, handing her a spear. This is a real one, with your name and mine inscribed on it. She was surprised, thinking, he's the only one who hasn't scolded me for wanting to learn how to fight. She took it, eyes watering. I love it. Thank you, Yonyang. Seeing her happiness, he smiled and promised, if you ever need help with training, just ask. I'll always be here. His sincerity made her heart flutter, and she clutched the spear, thinking, what's going on with me? That evening, the wedding feast began, and Mokrin was thrilled by the mountain of dishes. She started devouring everything in sight, while Yonyang watched, thinking, she's adorable. When she looked up, he grinned, giving her even more food from his own plate. Then she noticed the couple eating a special dessert reserved only for the bride and groom. I bet it's delicious, she thought to herself. She murmured, I wonder what it tastes like. Yonyang, hearing her murmur the words, wedding night, misinterpreted everything. His cheeks reddened as he stammered, did you just say wedding night? Mokrin blinked, oblivious. Ah, yes, I bet that dessert is wonderful. Misunderstanding even more, he replied, well, I feel the same. I've actually been looking forward to it too. She continued, talking about the food. I mean, every night could be like a wedding night if we had that dessert regularly. Yonyang, thinking she was talking about something else entirely, said, every night. Without a break, she nodded eagerly, picturing a feast, while he imagined something far more romantic. He nearly choked, grabbing a glass of water to calm himself. As they exchanged these unintended flirtations, Her brother, watching from a distance, frowned and muttered, "This guy is definitely trouble." The next morning, Yonyang was frantic. Mokrin was nowhere to be found. He stormed around, asking everyone if they'd seen her, causing such a ruckus that even the village dogs began barking along with him. He shouted her name in every corner, practically interrogating anyone who crossed his path. "Where is she? Where's Mokrin? She's missing," he yelled, alarming the townspeople. The villagers, who had watched him bumble around ever since the wedding, exchanged knowing glances. Even Mokrin's father and brother sighed, realizing he was like a dragon with too much energy and nowhere to breathe fire. Mokrin's brother leaned over to his father. "Father, he's been causing a scene all morning, and Mokrin might be getting too used to having him around. This can't go on." His father nodded in agreement, looking both resigned and slightly amused. "You're right, son. We need to do something before the entire village thinks he's lost it." So, Mokrin's father and brother devised a cunning plan. They approached her with a suggestion. "Mokrin, you should go gather some herbs with Diakbak." "Why with him?" she asked, suspicious. "Because he knows where the best herbs are," her father insisted. "Just go with him. Don't ask too many questions." As soon as she set off with Diakbak, Yonyang spotted her, but before he could approach, he saw her talking to Diakbak. His heart dropped, and jealousy flared up instantly. "What's that scoundrel doing with her?" Yonyang muttered, clenching his fists. "I can't let that fool get close to my sweet Mokrin." Meanwhile, Mokrin was far from thrilled about the trip. She was only thinking about the dessert she'd planned to eat back home and had no interest in Diakbak. But Yonyang, trailing behind them, was convinced they were having a moment. Diakbak asked casually, "So, anyone special in your life?" Mokrin chuckled, rolling her eyes. "Once, I fancied a young lord. Thought he was perfect. Then he got married, and I realized I'd only liked a fantasy. When people don't meet your expectations, it's hard to keep a spark alive." Yonyang, eavesdropping, didn't hear everything and assumed the worst. When he saw Diakbak reach up to pick a leaf off her head, Yonyang jumped to conclusions. He picked up a rock and yelled, "Stop right there." Mokrin and Diakbak turned, confused as Yonyang charged toward them. Mokrin grabbed Diakbak's hand, pulling him to run as Yonyang continued to holler, "Don't you dare hold her hand, you fiend." The two hurried away, trying to explain it was a misunderstanding, but Yonyang wasn't having any of it. Then, their escape was interrupted by a wild pig, which charged them, forcing Mokrin and Diakbak to dive out of the way and fall into a trap pit left by hunters. They waited, hoping someone would come find them, while Yonyang kept wandering around, searching for Mokrin in all the wrong places. After hours passed, Mokrin sighed. "I don't think anyone's coming to get us out of here." Diakbak sighed, too. "Patience, Mokrin. Someone will come." She shook her head. "We can't just sit here doing nothing." She began climbing out, but scraped her hand. Diakbak tried to hold her hand, saying, "You've changed, Mokrin. You used to be cautious." She thought about it, realizing how much she'd changed. "Is there anyone out there who would love me as I am now?" Her mind drifted to Yonyang, who'd always accepted her as she was. Suddenly, Diakbak blurted out, "Marry me, Mokrin. I can't let you marry that wild man. He's a savage." But Mokrin was completely blindsided. He was holding her hands too tightly, trying to pull her close. "Let me go," she shouted, as she struggled against him. He was trying to kiss her forcefully, and she was crying. She didn't want this. In a moment of desperation, her spear appeared from nowhere, and she grabbed it. With swift determination, she struck him, causing him to shout, "Snap out of it. Get lost." Confused, she wondered where that spear had come from. Nearby, a tree branch hung down like a long string, and she quickly fashioned it into a grappling tool, climbing over the obstacle. As she emerged, she realized she was alone. "I'm pretty sure that was Yonyang who saved me," she thought, feeling a mix of relief and gratitude. A few days later, Mokrin's birthday. Her family was buzzing with excitement, comparing gifts for her birthday. They were discussing their plans to send both Mokrin and Diakbak, believing it would be a success. Birthday noticed Diakbok trying to learn from Mokrin. She thought about how it had been 2 weeks since Yonyang had disappeared and wondered if she had done something wrong. She reflected on her own changes and questioned herself repeatedly. Suddenly, a voice shouted that ships were approaching the port. Alarmed, they all rushed to the harbor. They all feared their village might be under invasion. As they arrived, they spotted a familiar figure on one of the ships. It was Yonyang. He stepped off the vessel and announced, "It's done." They looked at him, confused, unsure of what he meant. Then he added, "This ship is a gift for Mokrin's birthday. It took longer than I expected, but it's finally complete. You can find my heartfelt message inscribed on the bottom." Curious, they gathered around as he revealed the inscription. "Love you, Mokrin." Her father asked, "So, this ship is a gift?" Yonyang nodded, continuing, "That's right. You're all welcome to hop on board and look around inside." Mokrin's heart began to flutter. She realized that this was the reason Yonyang had been absent for the last few days. He wasn't angry, he had been preparing a special gift for her. Raising an eyebrow. "The ship. It's a birthday gift for Mokrin," he declared, gesturing to the large vessel with pride. The villagers stared in awe. The ship was enormous, even bigger than their houses. He whispered, "Come with me." Before she knew it, he swept her onto the ship and set sail. As they ventured out into the water, Mokrin nervously clung to the railing. "You're going to capsize us," she warned. "Relax, Mokrin," he said, his voice soft. "Look out there. It's beautiful, isn't it?" She slowly opened her eyes, gazing at the endless sea. "It really is," she whispered, mesmerized. The view was nothing like she'd ever seen, and she thought of all the stories she'd heard about the world beyond her village. "This is my gift to you," he said, flashing her a smile. "I wanted you to see the world." Yonyang gazed at the majestic mountain rising in the distance, its peaks framing the horizon like a sentinel over her tribe's village. "That mountain," he said, pointing, "is the heart of my Sioman tribe. It's breathtaking here, especially with the sky painting such beautiful colors." She smiled, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "This is what I've been dreaming of, sharing this stunning world with you on your birthday." His warm expression made her heart race. As they leaned closer, the boat began to rock with the waves, and suddenly, she found herself in his arms. In that moment, she thought, maybe he's the one I've been searching for all these years. Just as they were about to kiss, a shark surged up from beneath the water. Yonyang instinctively kicked it away, her eyes still closed in anticipation. When she opened them, she was startled to see several sharks circling them. "We're surrounded by them," she exclaimed, panic creeping into her voice. He, ever the protector, brandished a makeshift paddle. "Don't worry, I'll handle this." He fought valiantly against the creatures, his movements both graceful and fierce. She couldn't help but admire him, even as she felt a pang of sympathy for the fish. "By the way," Yonyang said, watching him battle the sharks, "I feel a bit bad for those fish. They're just trying to survive. Survival of the fittest, right?" He quipped, dodging another shark as he swung the paddle. "But I have to protect my Mokrin." Just then, she noticed one shark with a distinctive cross mark. "Isn't that the one I kicked earlier?" Watch out. There's another one coming for you," she shouted, her heart racing. In a swift motion, the shark lunged, and Ki braced himself, thinking this might be their last moment together. But then, Yonyang seized a paddle and swung it fiercely, striking the shark and injuring her hand in the process. He rushed to her side, concern etched on his face. "Are you okay?" She nodded, adrenaline coursing through her. Without thinking, he leaned in and kissed her deeply, a moment of connection that eclipsed the chaos around them. The world faded away, leaving just the two of them amidst the ocean's wild embrace. As they kissed, lost in the world around them, she eventually pulled back and asked, "Why did you suddenly kiss me?" He stammered, cheeks turning pink. I was afraid. I thought I might lose you in that moment. I couldn't bear the thought." He scratched the back of his head, sheepishly adding, "Sorry for, kissing you without asking." She smiled, feeling a warmth bloom in her chest. Don't worry, and actually, I want to say something, too. She hesitated as he looked at her expectantly, waiting. Then, turning a bit pink herself, she muttered, "You can kiss me again. You have my permission." With that, they shared another kiss, their hearts fluttering together as the sun dipped below the horizon. They returned to the village, looking like they'd just had the time of their lives, happiness practically radiating off them. But waiting for them were her father and brother, who had some serious expressions on their faces. Her brother spoke first. "Father, we need allies. There must be a tribe out there strong enough to crush the Gui Hial tribe. We should enlist their help and wipe them out." Before he could continue his speech about impending battles, his father raised a hand, cutting him off. "Son, robbing others of their freedom for the sake of your own is not the path to liberty." Just then, the happy couple arrived, still looking like they were floating on clouds. The family stared in shock. "Look," Yonyang chimed in, proudly pointing to her. "She fought off a man-eating fish to save me." The villagers were in awe, but her parents were less thrilled, a mix of pride and horror in their expressions. "Wait, you killed a giant fish, by yourself?" Her father's eyes widened as he took in the bravery he hadn't realized his daughter possessed. Yonyang, meanwhile, looked completely smitten, oblivious to her father's shock. "Isn't she incredible?" he gushed, earning a poke in the ribs as she tried to shush him, blushing furiously. Her father watched his daughter thoughtfully, realizing how strong and brave she truly was. Meanwhile, her brother sulked in the background, clearly unimpressed, arms crossed in a dramatic frown. That night, her father sat alone, quietly contemplating his daughter's future. He was torn, wanting to protect her yet realizing she was capable of things he hadn't imagined. His thoughts were interrupted when suddenly, the door burst open. A massive, towering figure filled the doorway, casting an intimidating shadow. Her father's heart skipped a beat. Surely, this was a hunter sent for him. He braced himself, fumbling for words. Let's talk peacefully. There's no need for violence." But the figure, Yonyang, cleared his throat and spoke in an oddly polite tone. "Father, I came to ask for your permission to marry your daughter." Earlier than planned, her father blinked, taken aback. This intimidating young man, asking so earnestly. He couldn't believe it. Have you even discussed this with my daughter?" he asked cautiously. Yonyang looked genuinely puzzled. "No, I haven't spoken to her yet." Her father sighed, finally finding his voice. "Well, if you haven't asked her, then you certainly don't have my permission. You'll need her consent first." Yonyang perked up, nodding eagerly. "Oh, so all I have to do is ask her. Great, I'll do that right now." And without a second thought, he spun around, dashed out the door, and disappeared down the hall, leaving the poor father alone, half in shock. He managed to call out, "Wait. Don't go waking her up in the middle of the night." But it was too late. Yonyang was already halfway to her room, heart pounding with excitement. Outside, her brother scowled, watching as Yonyang raced past, determined to win his sister's heart. He shook his head, muttering, "What a fool," but deep down, he knew this love-struck warrior wouldn't stop until he'd finally asked for her hand. Yonyang, practically beaming with excitement, made his way to Mokrin's room. Finally, he thought, "I'm going to ask her to marry me." He had trained for 4 long years, pushing himself to the limit, all to be worthy of her. "She'll see my dedication and know my feelings are real," he whispered to himself, practically blushing as he imagined her reaction. But when he swung open her door with all the dramatic flair he could muster, he found an empty room. "Honey, I'm here," he called out, but his voice just echoed back to him. She wasn't there. Confused, he checked around the house, calling her name as he opened every door, even looking in closets and under tables, as if she might be hiding somewhere. When he finally stepped outside, drenched by the downpour, he ran into her older brother, Mokrin, standing stoically in the rain. "What are you doing out here?" Yonyang asked. Mokrin just stared at him with a strange intensity. "There's something I want to ask you," he said. "Of course," Yonyang replied, still glancing around for any sign of Mokrin. Mokrin's expression hardened. "Tell me, what kind of life awaits my sister in your village? Yonyang could feel the sharp undertone in Mokrin's voice. Clearly, he didn't approve of their union, and he wasn't above a little intimidation. This guy would be a challenge, Yonyang thought, but he kept his cool. Yonyang took a breath. I get where you're coming from, he said. But I've seen what greed and ambition can do to people. I know the dangers all too well. Mokrin rolled his eyes, clearly unimpressed. Nonsense. You talk too much. Well, you should know that I'm the kind of guy who will do anything to protect those I love, Yonyang said with a slight grin. And I think you know better than anyone what that means. The tension hung between them for a moment before Yonyang turned back into the village to continue his search for Mokrin. As the rain pounded down, Yonyang grew more and more worried. He searched every corner of the village but still couldn't find her. He then spotted something glinting in the mud, a spear, the one he had gifted her. Panic began to set in. Did something happen to her? Meanwhile, Mokrin was actually safe and dry in the village smithy, completely unaware of the chaos her absence was causing. She had been feeling confident after her battle with the man-eating fish, but when she noticed her spear was slightly damaged, she'd brought it in for repairs. She sat there, feeling guilty, wondering what Yonyang would think if he knew she'd broken his gift. Will he think I'm careless? She fretted, face buried in her hands. By morning, Mokrin returned home, dreading the lecture she'd surely get from her father and brother. But instead, she found Yonyang, standing outside her door, looking like he'd been run over by a stampede. The moment he saw her, he shouted, "Where were you?" I was worried sick. I looked everywhere for you. I thought something horrible happened. His voice cracked as he kept going. I was out in the rain, crying like a baby. Before Mokrin could even apologize, Yonyang suddenly wobbled on his feet and collapsed, his face flushed with fever. She caught him just in time and sighed, her worry mingled with a bit of exasperation. This idiot, looking down at him affectionately. Only he would spend the entire night looking for me just to end up sick. The village doctor arrived, wearing an air of dramatic gravitas. He examined Yonyang as Mokrin stood anxiously by his side. "Doctor, is his condition serious?" she asked, biting her lip. The doctor took a deep breath, as though preparing to deliver a tragic pronouncement. "Well, this is absolutely nothing to worry about." He then straightened up, looking as though he'd just delivered life-altering news. Everyone stared at him, a bit surprised at the unnecessary build-up. Yes, the doctor continued, adjusting his glasses. "You know, even the mightiest warriors can come down with a cold if they stand outside in the pouring rain all night. Nothing shocking," he went on. "He has a high fever, palpitations, and it seems he's been under a great deal of mental stress. Whatever problem he's been wrestling with, it's affecting his health." Mokrin frowned. Mental stress. What's been troubling him? Her brother, who knew exactly what the doctor was getting at, merely smirked to himself. The doctor stood up, dusting off his hands as though he'd accomplished a heroic feat. "Other than that, he's as healthy as a horse. Just needs a bit of rest, and he'll be back on his feet in no time." The family thanked the doctor, who departed, leaving Mokrin alone with Yonyang. Her family tried to convince her to come along with them, but she shook her head. "You all go ahead. I want to stay a while longer." As she sat by his side, she looked down at his hand, which was clenched tightly around something. Curious, she tried to pry it open, but his grip was surprisingly strong, even in his sleep. Finally, his hand relaxed, and something small dropped onto the bed, a piece of the broken spear shaft he'd gifted her. It hit her suddenly. Could he really have been looking for me all night? That must have been why he was so feverish and exhausted. Just then, Yonyang stirred, murmuring her name, "Mokrin." His eyes fluttered open, though he still looked groggy. She leaned close. "I'm here, Yonyang. How are you feeling?" He gave her a tired smile. "I was planning to ask for your hand in marriage. I was so sure you felt the same way, but last night, I started to feel afraid. What if you said no?" His voice was soft, but sincere, and she felt her heart skip a beat. "I still remember the first time I saw you," he continued, his gaze fixed on her. My heart practically jumped out of my chest. I'd never seen anyone so beautiful, so breathtaking. Her cheeks turned pink, but she couldn't help herself. She shifted uncomfortably and said, "But, what if I turn dull or unattractive one day? Would that change how you feel?" Yonyang blinked, as though the question itself was absurd. "Of course not. No matter what, no matter how you look, you'll always be you. There's no way I could ever stop loving you." She stared at him, touched and amazed. How does he always have the perfect answer? Her thoughts turned tender as she looked down at him. He respects me, accepts me as I am, and brings me into this world of wonder and adventure I'd never imagined. Could he be the one? Is this what love feels like? Then, as though hearing her thoughts, he spoke softly, "Mokrin, I love you. Will you marry me?" And with that, his eyelids fluttered, and he fainted again. Mokrin's heart pounded as his words echoed in her mind, her cheeks burning with a blush so deep she couldn't hide it. She took his hand gently, whispering, "Yes, you fool. Yes, I will." The next morning, Yonyang woke up feeling completely refreshed and positively brimming with joy. As he thanked the doctor, he said, "Doctor, I'll never forget your kindness. You've saved me, and I owe you my life." Even the doctor, used to gruff warriors and stoic villagers, was taken aback by Yonyang's gratitude. While they were shaking hands, Yonyang suddenly raised his arm enthusiastically, completely forgetting that the doctor's hand was still in his grip. The doctor was lifted a good inch off the ground, yelping, "I appreciate it, but let's keep my bones intact, shall we?" Laughing sheepishly, Yonyang released him and hurried over to Mokrin. "I heard you stayed by my side all night," he said, looking genuinely touched. "Thank you for everything." Mokrin shrugged it off, but he could tell she was a little embarrassed. "It was nothing, really." He studied her face. "It seems like you want to say something. Don't hold back." She motioned for him to come closer, then whispered something in his ear. Whatever she said made his face light up, and he could hardly contain himself. "Did you really mean that?" he asked, almost jumping up and down. When she nodded, he scooped her up in his arms and swung her around. "I'll be the best husband. I'll make you proud, Mokrin, I promise." She was already getting dizzy. All right, put me down." She laughed, trying to calm him, but Yonyang was already too excited. "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me," he continued, "and I'll always protect you." When they finally made their way to her father's house, they found him seated, enjoying a steaming cup of tea. Yonyang, not known for his subtle entrances, practically kicked the door open and bellowed, "Father!" Startled, her father jumped, spilling his tea all over his hand. "By the heavens, Yonyang! What brings you here like a wild boar?" Yonyang grinned. "We're ready for the wedding preparations." Her father froze, cup halfway to his lips, unable to say a word. After a long, awkward silence, he finally managed to speak. "Mokrin, I need to talk to you. Alone." Once they were alone, her father took a deep breath. "Tell me the truth. Is this what you truly want? Did he persuade you? Are you sure this is your decision?" Mokrin looked at her father kindly. "He did no such thing. I was the one who gave him my consent." Her father sighed, guilt in his eyes. "I'm sorry, my daughter. If only I had more influence. I just don't want you to feel pressured." Mokrin gently cut him off. "Father, I appreciate your concern, but this is my choice. My future is in my own hands." She hugged him reassuringly before stepping out to join Yonyang. But just as she stepped outside, her brother Mokrin appeared, grabbing her hand and pulling her aside. "Sister, we need to talk." He led her away from the house, his grip tight. "Father told me that you're okay with this marriage," he said, his tone both pleading and insistent. She nodded, though her eyes narrowed slightly. "Yes, I am. Absolutely." Mokrin's eyes flashed, and he leaned in closer. "Listen carefully. I will seek power from other tribes. It might take some time, but I will free you from this situation. You don't have to marry him." Mokrin took a step back, trying to understand. "Brother, what are you talking about? Please tell me you're not planning anything reckless." Mokrin, now speaking with intensity, went on. Mark my words, once you're married to him, he'll lose interest. Men can be fickle, Mokrin. Once he's had what he wants, you'll become dull in his eyes. He'll send you away. Do you understand? Mokrin's face fell, her eyes filling with tears. She had trusted her brother, but his words hurt. Just as her emotions started to overwhelm her, a voice interrupted, calm yet steely. That's quite enough. They both turned, startled. Yonyang stood there, arms crossed, eyes hard as he glared at Mokrin. I've been listening, wondering how far you'd go, and I have to say, you've crossed the line. Yonyang stepped closer to Mokrin, his voice steady but laced with steel. I've tried to ignore a lot, Mokrin, to give you the benefit of the doubt. I've been patient because I assumed, as her brother, you had her best interests at heart. But don't mistake my patience for foolishness. Mokrin, sensing tension rise like a brewing storm, thought, oh no, I can't let this turn into a fight. She quickly stepped between them, her eyes welling up. Please, this is all just one big misunderstanding. You two simply haven't talked enough to work through your differences, that's all. But, for my sake, can't you both just wish me happiness? Hearing her plea, Mokrin's resolve faltered, and he finally softened, nodding reluctantly. Mokrin then turned to Yonyang, apologizing for her brother's overprotectiveness. You know, sending off your only sister isn't easy for him. Maybe he just needs time. Why don't you go back to the village first? She managed a smile, pulling Yonyang gently away, leaving her brother behind. As they walked back, Mokrin's mind was racing. I hope I didn't hurt anyone's feelings back there. After a few moments of silence, Yonyang turned to her, his voice filled with a quiet intensity. Tell me honestly, Mokrin, if you want to back out of this marriage, just say the word. If the love I thought we shared was just a fantasy, I'll walk away now. Mokrin paused, her heart caught in her throat. If you left, would you ever return? Yonyang hesitated before answering. I wouldn't, not unless you wanted me to. Or maybe I'd just come back silently, just to catch a glimpse of you now and then. But even if I did, I'd make sure you'd never know. She took a shaky breath, then blurted, I don't want you to leave. His eyes softened. Are you sure? You won't regret marrying me? She gave a half smile, blinking away tears. I'm not sure, but you'll have to make sure I won't regret it, by loving me as hard as you can. He pulled her close, holding her like she was the most precious thing in his world. I promise, Mokrin, my heart has always belonged to you, and it always will. The next day, Mokrin was ready to leave for Yonyang's tribe. Down at the port, her friends gathered to see her off, trying their best not to tear up. Don't be a stranger, okay? One friend said, sniffling. Write to us often, tell us everything that happens there. Mokrin laughed, trying to keep things light. Don't worry, it's just another village, after all, and I'll keep in touch. Besides, it's not like I'll ever forget you all. They hugged, each friend holding on a little longer than usual. Her father then approached, his face proud yet conflicted. She looked around, then asked, did my brother come to see me off? Her father's face fell slightly. No, he didn't. But don't let it weigh on you. He'll come around. Focus on your happiness now. He squeezed her hand reassuringly. Remember, you'll always have a home here, Mokrin. With a tearful smile, she said, thank you, father. I am your daughter, and a daughter of this wonderful tribe. After the tearful goodbyes, she boarded the ship with Yonyang. As the boat set sail, she looked out over the endless waves, feeling both exhilarated and anxious. Even though the 4 days of sailing stretch as far as the eye can see, it's been an incredible journey so far, full of strange new experiences. I wonder what sort of life awaits me beyond the horizon. As they neared their destination, Yonyang pointed toward a small village on the distant shoreline. There it is, home. Mokrin felt her heart surge with excitement, ready to embrace this new chapter and the adventure of a lifetime, with Yonyang by her side. After a long, chilly January, the protagonist finally arrived on the island. As soon as she reached the port, she was amazed to see people from all walks of life living so happily together. Just as she was taking in the sights, her mother-in-law came rushing over, arms wide open. "My dear daughter-in-law, you're finally here," she exclaimed, almost bouncing as she ran. Without a second thought, she swept her new daughter-in-law up in a big bear hug, making her slightly dizzy but very welcomed. After this warm reunion, everyone else started coming over to meet the new bride. Yonyang, her husband, even brought his siblings over, eager for them to meet her. His three sisters, Weiyang, Xianyang, and Haiyang, had eyes sparkling with curiosity, almost as if they were seeing a rare, exotic creature for the first time. Yonyang's father seemed like a kind soul, and his sisters, though a bit intense, seemed sweet, well, mostly sweet. One of them handed her a small gift. When she opened it, she found a live rat, with a little bow tie. She shrieked and immediately dropped it, causing everyone to burst into laughter. After a while, she and Yonyang made their way to their new home, with a crowd of well-wishers cheering them on. But as they walked, she couldn't help feeling a bit nervous. The villagers were staring at her like she was some kind of alien, and while she knew she'd eventually get comfortable, it was still a bit unnerving. Then, out of nowhere, someone whacked Yonyang on the back. Startled, she saw it was his childhood friend, Dane, grinning from ear to ear. "I know you're all happy now that you've got yourself a girl," Dane teased, "but that's no reason to let your guard down." Yonyang smirked. "Oh, you think you can take me? Bring it on." Before she knew it, the two of them were wrestling, kicking up dust. The villagers were joking, saying how Yonyang usually won these friendly duels with Dane. At one point, Yonyang's head got knocked, and blood began trickling down his forehead. Watching this, she thought, is this what life is going to be like here? Am I really going to be okay in this village? Soon, however, it was time for the wedding, and the scene shifted to the beautiful venue. She was dressed in a gorgeous traditional bridal gown, looking like a princess. As she walked in, she spotted Yonyang in his groom's attire, looking so handsome it made her stumble a little. She couldn't believe it was happening, they were finally getting married. The ceremony ended with a sweet kiss, sealing their marriage as everyone cheered. That night, they made their way to their chamber, her heart fluttering at the thought of their first night together. She'd heard there would be an incredible feast for newlyweds, and she couldn't wait to try all the dishes. While she was daydreaming about the food, she noticed Yonyang was nervously gulping down some alcohol. When he finally called her over, she thought excitedly, the feast must be here. But suddenly, he leaned over her, his face red and flustered, and said, "I'll do my best tonight, for you." Her eyes widened. This was going to be a night to remember. As they finally settled into their wedding chamber, Yonyang leaned in to kiss her. She was a bit bewildered, wondering what on earth he was doing. When she tried to gently push him away, he just looked at her with intense eyes, murmuring, "I can't wait any longer, I've waited for you for so long." She blinked, utterly lost. Waited for what? She thought. He was acting so strange, and she couldn't understand why he was suddenly so enthusiastic. He grabbed her close, kissing her even more passionately, his grip tighter with every second. When his advances became a bit too much, she finally hit him on the arm. And shouted, "Cut it out, you idiot." Yonyang stopped, bewildered. "What's the matter? Why are you crying?" he asked, confused and a little hurt. She wiped her tears and glared at him. "That's supposed to be my question. What is wrong with you? Why are you acting like this?" He looked genuinely taken aback. "Didn't you say you wanted our wedding night to last 30 straight days? I'm just trying to do what you wanted." She was crying and laughing at the same time now. "Yes, but what I meant was I wanted a wedding feast that lasted 30 days. I wanted to eat all those special dishes only newlyweds get." Yonyang paused, blinking in shock. "Not making love." They both froze as the realization set in. The miscommunication from Buddha knows where finally clicked into place, and the room fell into the most awkward silence of their lives. They were drowning in mutual embarrassment. Yonyang finally broke the silence, scratching his head and chuckling nervously. "I'm so sorry, I didn't know you meant the feast. I thought, well, in my tribe, a wedding night means something a little different." She laughed, relieved, wiping her eyes. It's okay. It's not that I don't like you. It's just, this is my first time, and, well, I'm just a bit nervous. He looked surprised, and then admitted, honestly, it's my first time, too. He scooted closer, gently taking her hand. Look, let's take our time getting to know each other. No rush. She smiled softly. I like that. Thank you, dearest. Hearing her call him, dearest, made his nose start bleeding, and he asked, can I have just one kiss then? Seeing his flustered state, she laughed, patting his shoulder. They ended up talking into the night, eventually falling asleep beside each other in peaceful exhaustion. The next morning, she woke up to find the bed empty. Yonyang was already outside. She spotted an outfit laid out for her, and to her horror, it was a heavy, embroidered garment, with armor. She tried lifting it and nearly fell over. I can't wear this, she groaned. I'll just put on the clothes I brought from home. She slipped into her own comfortable clothes and decided to explore the village. As she wandered around, she sensed someone was following her. Turning around, she saw 3 intimidating men staring her down, all sporting serious expressions and long beards. One of them leaned forward, squinting. So, this is Yonyang's bride, huh? Another man grinned. All right, let's get going. It's time to give her a proper welcome. She started to panic, backing away. Please, let me go. I'm just trying to walk around. One of them laughed. Relax. You're new here, so we're gonna introduce you to the village, our way. We promise it's something you'll never forget. She gulped, thinking, wait, are they going to kidnap me? Or worse. But, as it turned out, they just wanted to bring her to the village square to introduce her to everyone. They brought her to a spot where nearly every guy in the village had gathered, their eyes glinting with curiosity. One of them looked her up and down and smirked. So, how did you manage to captivate Yonyang? With this body or whatever? Another one chimed in. I heard her favorite pastime is spear throwing. Someone else snorted. Spear throwing. With those scrawny limbs. She looked around nervously, feeling like she'd finally seen their true colors. So they really are savages, she thought, probably abducting women and selling them off. Just as one guy stepped forward, she recoiled, sure that something terrible was about to happen. Meanwhile, Yonyang was outside when he heard her voice. Without a second thought, he leapt onto his horse and galloped toward her at full speed. As she looked around in panic, a guy reached out toward her. Please, no, she begged, nearly in tears. Then, finally, Yonyang arrived, hopping off his horse and stepping in front of her. Hey, I told you all, girls from the Cho tribe are a little more delicate and timid. You need to be extra careful with how you approach them. She was sniffling, mumbling, please, just stop with the questions, I'm overwhelmed. Finally, one of the guys spoke up, revealing the true reason for the chaos. We just wanted to see your pretty ribbon. Is it true the Cho tribe has amazing craftsmanship? Another guy nudged the first. Hey, you can't just yank her hair like that. Look, she's practically in shock. Slowly, it dawned on her that they were just excited about her ribbon and her supposed skills. She blinked, taking it all in. Oh, she realized, they really think I'm a super strong warrior. One guy piped up, I heard she's a master of all sorts of martial arts techniques. And didn't she save Yonyang once from a man eating fish? They kept peppering her with questions, talking over one another. Please, one at a time, she stammered, tears still glistening in her eyes. Yonyang's friend finally nudged him with a grin. You've got interesting taste in women. Where did you find a bride like this? I thought people of the Cho tribe were all fragile and, well, a bit skittish. But she's different. When everyone finally got their fill of questions, Yonyang and Mokrin headed back home. As they rode on his horse, Yonyang chuckled, they've been dying of curiosity. They'd only heard stories about you, so they were just excited to meet you. She managed a smile, though she still felt overwhelmed. I didn't know they were your friends, she admitted. I was a little startled. As they rode closer, they ended up sitting so close that she felt something poking her in the back. She glanced over, wondering what on earth it was. Yonyang stiffened, suddenly realizing the awkwardness of their position. No, he told himself. I promised her we'd take things slow. But then she turned around, grabbing onto him for balance. She felt something. What is this? She asked, puzzled. He turned red, at a loss for words. How do I explain? You're squeezing me a little too tight, he stammered. Can you let go? Blushing, he nudged his horse to go faster, hoping they'd reach home soon to escape the embarrassment. When they finally arrived, Yonyang was still eager for a kiss, but just as he leaned in, she stopped him. Wait, someone's here, she whispered. To her surprise, a villager had come by and was waiting at the door. Mokrin assumed the visitor wanted Yonyang, but the villager stepped forward and bowed. I'm here to speak with Lady Mokrin, actually. She blinked in shock. Me? Why would anyone want to see me? Mokrin sat with the girl, who looked both nervous and excited. There's a tribe named Yun, she began. Their village is about half a day away by horse. They're quiet, reserved folks, much like your tribe. And, well, there's this man I love who lives there. She sighed. But sadly, he always avoids my glances and flirts, no matter how many times I try to talk to him. Mokrin raised an eyebrow, wondering if maybe the girl needed advice because they shared similar troubles. Maybe she thinks I'm some kind of love expert, she thought. The girl continued, is there any way I can win his affection? Mokrin replied, if you don't mind me asking, what exactly have you been doing around him? The girl leaned forward, as if sharing a great secret. Well, I've been delivering 5 sacks of rice each time I visit, single-handedly, in one go. She grinned, clearly proud. Mokrin blinked, stunned. 5 sacks of rice, in one go. She was trying not to gape. And, the girl added with pride, I've hunted wild boar for him and even moved the giant rock blocking his field. Mokrin's face fell. This girl was like a superhero, but maybe a little too powerful for her own good. The girl went on, but, is it still not enough to impress him? Should I maybe challenge him to a duel? At that, Mokrin immediately interrupted. No, don't do that. If you duel him, he might think you're trying to force him to marry you, or worse, that you're coming to claim his life. The girl looked taken aback. Is it really that extreme? Spotting a flower nearby, Mokrin quickly offered a gentler idea. Why not try making him a flower wreath? Men do love a thoughtful gift. The girl looked puzzled. A flower wreath? How can flowers possibly impress him? Wouldn't he be happier with more rice? I need to show him my strength. Mokrin sighed and insisted, no more strength. Just try the flowers, please. After some hesitation, the girl finally shrugged. All right, I guess there's no harm in trying something new. With that, she left. A few days later, the same girl returned, but this time with a beaming husband in tow. Mokrin, you were absolutely right. She said, grinning. When I gave him that flower wreath, it was like he saw a whole new side of me. Her husband looked at her lovingly, adding, you are my flower, after all. The girl was delighted. I'll bring you 100 flowers every day if you want. Her husband chuckled. You're all I need, my love. After thanking Mokrin profusely, the couple left, vowing to tell everyone how perfect her advice had been. Mokrin watched them go, thinking, great, now everyone's going to think I'm some sort of romance guru. I hope this doesn't cause any trouble. That night, Mokrin and Yonyang finally got a moment alone and were on the brink of something romantic when someone barged in. Yonyang groaned, not again. Apparently, the girl from before was spreading tales of Mokrin's love advice, attracting more and more visitors looking for guidance. Yonyang was frustrated. This is our honeymoon. But everyone keeps interrupting. The next morning, as Mokrin wandered through the village, she overheard people talking about her. They soon approached her, asking, this is the first time the Yun tribe will join the inter-tribe festival. What gift should we prepare for them? We want it to be memorable. Mokrin tried to respond diplomatically. I'm not sure, perhaps something that brings a smile to their faces. But remember, not all tribes share the same cultural values as the Gui people. One guy chuckled, don't worry, I'm actually from the Yun tribe, did you know? Mokrin's eyes widened. Really? He nodded. Many of us here come from different tribes. We're not natives, we just live here because it's a great place to make a living. This was all new to Mokrin. She'd thought each tribe stayed in their own villages. But here, she saw they were friendly, curious, and adaptable. They may have seemed rough around the edges, but they were kind-hearted. Mokrin thought, maybe my tribe could learn something from these people. That evening, she sat down and wrote a letter to her brother, describing the open-minded Gyui tribe. She hoped he'd be as accepting of this new knowledge as she was. When her brother read it, however, he was far from pleased. Mokrin received a letter from her brother, and it read, "My dear sister, I'm sorry I couldn't be there to see you off when you left. The guilt has been heavy on my mind. But I'm relieved that we can still write to each other, even though we're so far apart. It's a comfort to hear you're doing well, I just wish I could see it for myself. Father got banged up recently. I couldn't tell you sooner because I wasn't sure how to reach you, but thankfully, it's not serious. A few days of rest, and he'll be back to work. In fact, he's more upset about being stuck in bed than the injury itself. Don't worry about us. Danwell Island is in good hands. I'm standing in as acting chieftain until father recovers. As acting chieftain, I have to prioritize our tribe's future above all else. That's why I found your last letter, concerning. You wrote about the Gyui Hial tribe allowing outsiders to live among them, and that the things we've heard about them might just be prejudiced misconceptions. But, my sister, there's no need to speak such, well, nonsense. I know you're just trying to reassure us, but we understand what you're going through. If you find yourself missing the warmth of your true home, remember we're all here on the island, waiting for your return." When Mokrin read the letter, she couldn't believe her brother didn't believe her words. How do I show him the truth? She wondered. Meanwhile, Yonyang was chatting with Homan from another tribe. Homan mentioned, the waters around the island have been restless lately. Something must have happened. Fish are migrating out of the area. It's like they're fleeing from something. Yonyang raised an eyebrow. So, man-eating fish are blocking the sailing routes. Could be a natural phenomenon, but it'd be best if we sit down and discuss a solution. Yonyang, clearly feeling territorial, shot Homan a cold glance. You just stick to your part, Homan. Leave this to me, I've got it handled. Later, Yonyang went hunting and brought back a wild boar as a gift for Mokrin. But the moment she saw the boar, she went pale, nearly fainting. Yonyang looked at her, confused. Sorry, I didn't realize you'd never seen, well, dinner in its whole form before. Mokrin, steadying herself, sighed, I'll try to stop reacting to everything. I need to adjust. Yonyang couldn't help but chuckle. You're so adorable, Mokrin. I can hear your heartbeat from here. Then he noticed a letter in her hand. Is that from your family? Immediately, she hid it. Oh, it's nothing special. Just my brother and me, talking, not much happening. She thought, I can't let him read this. He gave her a knowing look. Did your brother upset you again? She stammered, No, not at all. Even if he did, you don't need to worry. I wouldn't want to trouble you with my family's problems. He paused, looking a bit hurt. Ah, your family problems. I see. Realizing she'd made it sound like he wasn't her family, she quickly tried to backtrack. No, that's not what I meant. You are my family, my husband, of course. I'm still just new to all this. Yonyang smiled, ruffling her hair playfully. Don't worry, I understand. It's your private letter. I shouldn't have pried. She sighed. He's completely misunderstood me again. To break the awkward silence, Yonyang said, You must be hungry. Let's get ready for dinner. They shared a peaceful meal, and Mokrin almost forgot about her brother's letter, until a few days later, when she went to check her letter box and found it completely empty. Someone had stolen all her letters. Mokrin ran to seek help and found her mother-in-law. Mother, please, listen to me, she said, out of breath. Her mother-in-law looked at her, a bit puzzled. What's wrong, dear? Have you seen Yonyang? Mokrin asked, hesitating. I don't think I've seen him all day. He's usually off in the mountains around this time. Is something the matter? Mokrin hesitated. No, nothing important. Trying to change the subject, she asked, are the village children learning how to read and write? Her mother-in-law's face brightened. Yes. Your husband actually suggested it a few years ago. He wanted the children to have a proper education, so we started classes. Mokrin noticed a group of excited kids practicing their letters. Yonyang's sister was among them, sitting with the children and learning too. Watching them, Mokrin's worries faded for a moment, but she still needed to find Yonyang. She decided to search for him in the mountains. But when she arrived, the vast expanse made her feel lost. How am I supposed to find him in this whole mountain? She muttered. And who could have taken the letters? I just hope it wasn't him. Suddenly, she heard a voice. Relieved, she thought it must be Yonyang and, without a second thought, rushed up and hugged the figure from behind. I was looking for you everywhere. But then, she realized something was off. This body was different. Too tall and muscular. She quickly pulled away, mortified. Who are you? The man turned with a smile and, unfazed, said, Ah, to encounter such beauty in a place like this, surely fate has brought us together. He took her hand gently and added, the moment I laid eyes on you, I knew I was bound to your love. From this day forth, I shall be your devoted servant. Mokrin's eyes widened. I'm already married. The man just laughed. A minor obstacle. It will only make our love stronger in the end. No need to deny your heart's desire. Just then, Yonyang appeared, his sword drawn and resting on the stranger's throat. Unhand my wife. The stranger smirked, spinning around to face him. Yonyang. It's been too long. Yonyang narrowed his eyes. Yundo Wang, he muttered with distaste. Sneaking around like a rat and harassing married women now. Don't you have anything better to do? Mokrin blinked in surprise. They knew each other. Yundo laughed. So, it's true you're married now. Hard to believe, who'd have thought the reckless Yonyang would settle down? Yonyang didn't look pleased. Says the liar who's been doing this nonsense for years. And you have the nerve to blame me. They both glared, looking like old friends in the middle of a petty argument. Mokrin thought about stepping in to stop them, but a hand suddenly rested on her shoulder. She turned to see an old man with a gentle smile. Nice to meet you, my lady. I am Master Yundo's lieutenant, he said calmly. Those two trained under the same master. They're always at each other's throats like dogs and cats whenever they meet. Meanwhile, Yundo taunted, I challenge you to a duel, Yonyang. For I have fallen in love at first sight with your wife, and I shall make her mine. Yonyang clenched his fists. Oh, you're on. Both men squared off, ready to start their duel. Mokrin watched as Yonyang and Yundo began their duel, unsure of how to stop them. She tried calling out, but neither man paid her any attention, so finally, she sighed and tossed a pebble in their direction. When it bounced off their heads, both men paused, blinking at her in surprise. Yundo chuckled, amused by the interruption, and stepped forward. Allow me to introduce myself properly, my lady. I am Yundo, chieftain of the Haya tribe to the east. We rule through inheritance and bloodline, so if you marry me, a life of wealth and prosperity is yours. Should you tire of your current bore, he shot a smug look at Yonyang, know that my arms are always open. Yonyang, visibly irritated, yanked Mokrin closer. She's my wife, you loser. Go, find your own. Yundo just smirked and waved. Oh, we'll meet again, my lady. Until then, farewell. As Yundo sauntered off, Mokrin looked at Yonyang and smiled, he's such an amusing friend. We should invite him for tea sometime. Yonyang scowled. Absolutely not. Don't you dare let your guard down around him. And take care not to run into him, even by accident. Mokrin noticed his unusual mood and tilted her head, puzzled. He's never looked at me like that before, she thought. Yonyang cleared his throat awkwardly, breaking the silence. So, what are you doing up here, anyway? Mokrin's face lit up, remembering her lost letters. Lost my letters. I was wondering if you'd seen them anywhere. He blinked. You mean the letters from your family? She nodded. Well, I found this in the chest where you keep them, he admitted, holding up a piece of parchment. Her eyes widened. So, it was you. Yonyang looked taken aback. What? You think I took them? You're suspecting me. Mokrin thought about denying it, but the truth was obvious. She didn't respond, and when he tried to reach for her, she pulled back. Yonyang frowned, looking hurt. Do you want to go home? What are you talking about? Mokrin asked, confused. He sighed. You miss them, don't you? Your true family. Isn't that why you're holding onto those letters? You've been here for 2 months now, but you still won't wear our tribe's garments, and every time I try to spend time with you, you're busy with some guest. You don't trust me, do you? Mokrin's face softened. How could you say that? You have no idea what kind of inner battle I fought to leave my only home and start a new life here with you. Turning away, Yonyang muttered, think what you want. Mokrin thought, maybe our marriage troubles will just work themselves out over time without needing to sit down and talk. But she realized, with a pang, that their misunderstandings were only growing. Determined to get to the bottom of the letters, they headed to a nearby cabin. As they were about to enter, Yonyang's little sister, Yonyang, emerged, clutching a stack of letters to her chest. Her eyes widened, and she bolted. Wait! Mokrin shouted as she and Yonyang ran after her. Stop! The mountains are dangerous. But Yonyang didn't slow down. Just as she was about to trip over the edge of a cliff, Mokrin managed to grab her arm. Yonyang clung to her, stammering apologies, but just then, a gust of wind lifted the letters, sending them scattering down the mountainside. Yonyang lunged to catch them but lost his balance, teetering on the edge of the cliff. Mokrin grabbed his arm, struggling to pull him back. Yonyang, go get help from the village. Yonyang gave her a strained smile. The truth is, I wanted those letters gone. It hurt me that you kept them secret from me. I felt pathetic and jealous. Stop acting like these are your last words. Mokrin cried. His weight was pulling her down, and she could feel his grip slipping. Yonyang looked into her eyes. I never realized how hard it is to open up, even to someone you care about. I kept hoping you'd just understand me without needing any explanation. But that wasn't fair of me. From now on, I'll be more open, so please, don't let go. Tears filled Mokrin's eyes. Why would I ever let go? Don't you dare let go of my hand, Yonyang. And I mean forever. I don't need the letters, just use your other hand and climb up, please. Yonyang's hand began to slip, and for a heart-stopping moment, Mokrin thought he was falling, but then, he steadied himself and managed to climb back up, safe at last. Mokrin thought Yonyang was gone forever, her heart heavy with despair. But then, she heard a familiar voice call her name. Mokrin. It was Yonyang. She spun around, startled, and saw him standing there, brushing dust off his sleeves like he'd just returned from a leisurely stroll. With a sheepish grin, he said, you were right. Once I used both hands, climbing back up was much easier. I hope I didn't scare you too much. Mokrin froze for a moment, then bolted toward him, throwing herself into his arms. She sobbed, clinging to him. That letter, it wasn't what you thought it was. It was from my brother, and I kept it from you because I thought there might still be bad blood between you two. I never thought of leaving you. Yonyang wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. Mokrin, I'm sorry. I let my jealousy and my stupid assumptions get the better of me. I should have trusted you. She pulled back just enough to look into his eyes. No, I'm the one at fault. I expected you to understand me without ever explaining myself. That wasn't fair of me. He smiled softly, wiping a tear from her cheek. We're both new to this. A bumpy road was bound to happen. Let's not blame ourselves. From now on, I'll be more open and honest about my feelings. Mokrin nodded, her tears now a mix of relief and happiness. Me too. They embraced again, and this time, their lips met in a kiss filled with all the love and reassurance they'd been too scared to express before. By the time they got home, both were exhausted but content. Later that evening, as they prepared for bed, Yonyang suddenly turned serious. He reached for her hand, his touch gentle but firm. Mokrin, he said, his voice low, can I kiss you? She blinked, startled by his sudden formality. "You're my husband. You don't need to ask." His lips quirked into a teasing grin. "I just wanted to make sure you're ready." Her heart skipped a beat. "I am," she whispered. What began as a soft, sweet kiss quickly deepened, their emotions spilling over. Mokrin felt that familiar tingling sensation rush through her, overwhelming her senses. Her thoughts became a blur, her world narrowing to just him. Yonyang's self-control wavered as he pressed her closer. "Tell me if I should stop," he murmured, his voice strained. But Mokrin shook her head. "No, don't stop. I want this. I want us to be together in every way." Her words shattered the last thread of restraint he had. He kissed her again, more passionately this time, their connection growing stronger with every touch. As the night deepened, they surrendered to their emotions, fully committing themselves to one another, their love finally unspoken but fully understood. The next morning, Mokrin awoke with something heavy draped across her. It took her a moment to realize, it was Yonyang. And then the memories from the night before hit her like a tidal wave. Her cheeks flushed a deep red. As she thought, "Oh my gosh, we really did make love last night." As she recalled the experience, she gasped, thinking, "I've never felt anything like that before in my life. Is this what all the fuss was about?" Then, a new worry popped into her head. Did he enjoy it as much as I did? She sneaked a glance at her husband, his bare chest rising and falling peacefully as he slept. She blushed even harder, noting his strong physique. How is it fair for a man to look that good? Her gaze shifted a bit lower, and she hesitated, suddenly feeling self-conscious. "I hope my chest isn't too small for his liking." Just then, Yonyang's eyes opened. He'd apparently been awake the whole time, listening to her internal monologue with a grin. He let out a hearty laugh, causing her to nearly jump out of bed. Towering over her as she lay tangled in the sheets, he teased, "You seem deep in thought this morning. Anything you'd like to share?" Mokrin stammered, "No, I was just wondering if you enjoyed last night too." Yonyang's eyes gleamed mischievously as he tried to keep himself from laughing out loud. He looked like a wolf ready to pounce, and Mokrin quickly waved her hands, flustered. "No, no, no. Not this early in the morning," she protested. With a grin, he finally let her go, and she quickly escaped to start her chores. But as she walked around, she felt her back aching. "How did I survive 3 days of that?" she thought, bewildered. Yonyang still didn't seem entirely satisfied. "Is it because I'm not meeting his expectations?" She shook her head. No need to dwell on that, she told herself, clutching a letter she'd just written to her brother Mokrin. She'd shared in the letter about her new life and how talking with Yonyang had taught her that honesty is the foundation of every relationship. "I have no choice but to keep knocking on his door sincerely until he opens up," she thought. As Mokrin made her way into the village, a group of village women called her over. She greeted them politely, and they beamed, one saying, "It's been ages since we've seen you, dear." Another nudged her with a grin. "Oh, we know how it is with newlyweds in their honeymoon phase." The teasing didn't stop there. "So, are you enjoying your time with your husband, Mokrin?" One woman added with a wink. Mokrin's cheeks reddened, but she forced a smile. "Well, yes, I suppose." One woman laughed, "Of course. Just imagine the two of them. Yonyang is a man, after all, and he seems to like his women, a bit buxom." Mokrin's smile faltered. "Buxom," she thought, repeating the word over and over. "But I'm not buxom." Could that be why he looked upset this morning? Lost in her spiraling thoughts, Mokrin said with a sad face, "No, he's not actually that happy." The other women stopped mid-giggle, surprised. "Wait, what? Is something wrong, Mokrin?" Mokrin poured her heart out, explaining her fears and worries. The women exchanged looks of shock. "You mean you're not sure if he's enjoying, you know?" Mokrin's face turned crimson. "Please, don't be so loud," she whispered, tears welling up. One woman placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "My dear, Yonyang waited for 5 long years to be with you. Trust me, he's not the kind to act wishy-washy." Another agreed, "He wears his heart on his sleeve. If he's with you, it's because he truly wants to be." Just then, One of the women clapped her hands. We can't talk about such serious matters without a little something to drink, can we? Let's get some wine. The other women cheered, and before Mokrin could protest, she found herself surrounded by laughter, drinks, and endless advice. As the day wore on and night fell, Yonyang finally came to look for Mokrin. He found her in the village. Women in a drunken heap, giggling and singing. Mokrin spotted him, beaming with delight as she stumbled toward him and threw her arms around his neck. "Oh, it's you," she slurred happily, clinging to him like he was her lifeline. "Isn't the moon just beautiful tonight?" Trying not to laugh, Yonyang gently tried to keep her steady, his hand hovering awkwardly as she swayed. But Mokrin wrapped herself around him tighter, her body pressed close, and before he could react, well, let's just say his elephant started honking. Yonyang's face flushed, and he cleared his throat, trying to keep his composure. "Mokrin, maybe we should get you home." But Mokrin simply giggled and whispered in his ear, "Home sounds perfect." Seeing Mokrin get so tipsy, Yonyang was just about to guide her home when, to his horror, she started fumbling with her dress, trying to undress right there. He froze, feeling a primal urge stir within him but somehow managed to restrain himself. When Mokrin lost her balance, he quickly swooped in to pick her up and carry her home. Once there, she had a small scrape on her leg from stumbling, so he knelt down to clean it. As he carefully dabbed her leg, he murmured, "Let me know if your head starts hurting, okay? You're probably too drunk to feel anything right now." Mokrin, however, had other thoughts brewing. She looked at him with misty, dramatic eyes and blurted out, "Do you prefer big girls?" Yonyang's brain stalled for a split second, and he reflexively said, "Yes." Then he realized what he'd said, his eyes widening in panic. "Wait, no, I mean, what did you ask?" Too late. Mokrin's eyes filled with tears, and she wailed, "I knew it. I'm not big enough for you. That's why you fell asleep last night." Yonyang scrambled to calm her down. Wait, that's not what happened." Mokrin was inconsolable. "The village women told me. They said that if a man falls asleep after, it means he's bored. They also said if a man is really attracted to a woman, he won't last more than one round, but you kept going and going." At this, Yonyang's eyes narrowed. Those women were totally messing with her. He tried to reassure her. "None of that is true, Mokrin. Besides, I love everything about you." But Mokrin wasn't finished. "And your chest is bigger and rounder than mine. It's not fair." Yonyang tried to laugh it off. No, look, my chest isn't all that impressive." He opened his shirt, revealing his chest. "See, pretty average." Mokrin, however, took this as a challenge. With a gleam in her eye, she launched herself at him, pinching and biting him. "I'll teach you a lesson." Before he knew it, Yonyang's nose started bleeding profusely, and they had to hurry to the village physician. The physician, upon seeing Yonyang's bloodied face, was puzzled. What on earth happened here? Yonyang, of course, couldn't reveal the real reason and stammered something about accidental exertion. The doctor just gave him a suspicious look, handed him some herbs, and asked, "By the way, did you ever finish the last round of medicine I gave you?" Yonyang quickly shook his head. No, I ran out." The physician sighed, "I warned you. Your affliction is nearly incurable. You should be careful." Mokrin's face paled. "Incurable affliction, and I didn't even notice." Meanwhile, Yonyang was desperately signaling to the doctor to say no more. The physician left with a heavy sigh, leaving Mokrin in full-blown worry mode. Tears brimmed in her eyes as she looked at Yonyang. "Why didn't you tell me you were in so much pain? You should have told me right away." Seeing her concerned face, Yonyang felt his face heat up again. "She's got the wrong idea again," he thought, panicked. "How do I explain it's just, well, how hard it is to control myself around her?" He quickly reassured her. "It's nothing serious, really. My body just overreacts when I get too excited. It's because we're newlyweds, that's all. The medicine is just for emergencies." But Mokrin wasn't convinced. "Then I'll go with you to get more." Yonyang tried to protest. "It's a long journey, Mokrin. You don't have to." But she was firm, crossing her arms. We're husband and wife. We'll face everything together. The next day, they prepared to leave for their journey. Mokrin was amazed at the sheer amount of supplies Yonyang was loading onto the horse. He grinned and explained, "It's a 6-day journey, so we need a lot to get through it." Then his mother swooped in, bringing even more items for Mokrin's comfort. Yonyang and his mom started piling on things while Mokrin and her father-in-law exchanged a look that clearly said, "Seven like mother, like son." Finally, with enough supplies to rival a small army, the two of them set off. It was Mokrin's first big adventure outside the village, and though she was excited, a bit of nervousness crept in. As the sun set, her enthusiasm was dampened by a sore back from riding. "Can I even make it there in one piece?" she wondered. Yonyang noticed her discomfort and encouraged her, "Look over there. Isn't this place beautiful? This is where we'll camp tonight." Mokrin took in the view, a picturesque scene of rolling hills and a glowing sunset. She was instantly enchanted and thought, "I hope one day my people can see the outside world, just like me." As they gazed, Yonyang shared stories of their destination. "Where my master lives, the mountains are covered in perpetual snow. You'll love it." Mokrin's eyes lit up. "Snow that never melts. I've never even seen snow before." Yonyang chuckled. "Just don't let go of the reins, or you'll end up off the saddle." No sooner had he said this than she wobbled, nearly falling off her horse. He quickly steadied her, and she laughed. "I'm really starting to look forward to this trip. I want to remember every detail so I can describe it to my tribe when I get back." After several days of travel, they finally reached the snow-covered mountains. But the intense chill cut right through to her bones. Shivering, Mokrin whispered, "Is snow always this brutal?" Yonyang looked puzzled. "It's usually not this intense. This is the first time I've seen snow like this." Suddenly, they heard an ominous rumble echoing through the mountains. Yonyang squinted, realizing too late what it was. "Avalanche." "Mokrin, grab my hand, quickly." But the snowstorm was blinding, and Mokrin could barely see him. In the chaos, she lost her footing and was swept away. As the snow engulfed her, she thought, "This is it. I'm really going to die here." When the avalanche finally subsided, a lone traveler noticed a horse without a rider nearby. Approaching, he spotted something half buried in the snow. It was a leg, Mokrin's leg. He hurried over, finding her unconscious but still breathing, separated from Yonyang, lying cold and alone in the snow. Meanwhile, Yonyang was buried in the snow, only to be rudely awoken by a bird pecking at him. He bolted upright, shouting, "I thought I was a goner." Relief was short-lived, though, as he quickly realized something was missing, Mokrin. Panicked, he scrambled to his feet, searching desperately, only to find her scarf and hat scattered nearby. His eyes landed on a small bell lying in the snow, and recognition dawned on him. "I think I know where she is." Meanwhile, in a dimly lit cabin, Mokrin stirred awake, groggy and confused. She blinked at her unfamiliar surroundings, trying to piece things together. A strange man loomed near her, and she gasped, Who are you? Why am I naked?" She tugged at the blanket wrapped around her, face turning scarlet. The man just stared blankly, his gaze oddly intense, more like a curious animal than a person. Before she could demand an answer, the door burst open, and in strode Yonyang, eyes narrowing as he took in the scene, his very naked wife and a very unfamiliar man. Yonyang's fists clenched as he barked, "Who are you? Name yourself, or I swear I'll." Just then, an elderly man entered, completely unfazed, carrying a bucket of water. With a casual splash, he doused them both. "All right, enough drama. Boys, you're as hot-headed as ever," he said, chuckling. Yonyang's jaw dropped. "Master." The elderly man, now easily recognizable, was none other than his master, with his signature bell dangling around. Settling in, Yonyang tried to catch up with his master, while Mokrin sat awkwardly wrapped in blankets. "I was surprised to find a stranger here, master," Yonyang remarked, eyeing the silent young man who had rescued Mokrin. "I didn't know you had taken on an assistant." "He's a bit unusual," the master chuckled. "He grew up with animals in the mountains, so he's still learning human communication. The young man continued to sweep the floor in silence. The master pulled out a basket of food and gave Yonyang a knowing look. Didn't I give you enough medicine last time? Or is it because, he glanced at Mokrin with a grin, you now have your beautiful wife with you? Mokrin, shocked, blurted out, I don't understand. Yonyang told me it was an incurable disease. Before she could ask anything further, Yonyang jumped up, red-faced. Master, about that medicine, can I just take some and go? He practically shoved his master toward the door, muttering hurried excuses. But Mokrin couldn't shake her worry. Is he sick because of me? Am I the reason he's like this? She resolved to find out the truth, though judging by Yonyang's face, it was going to be one heck of an awkward conversation. The next morning, Mokrin and Yonyang sat together, talking as the sun rose. Master says the medicine needs to sit for 2 more days, Yonyang said. In the meantime, I'll show you around. This place holds a lot of fond memories for me. He paused, suddenly looking sentimental. Mokrin smiled. I look forward to it. Yonyang puffed out his chest a bit. I trained here for 4 years to become strong and reliable, for you. Yundo tried to get rid of me every chance he got, but I always survived. It was thoughts of you that got me through the worst days. Mokrin, touched but a bit uneasy, thought to herself, could all his recent illnesses and the way he keeps butting heads with his friends really be because of me? Just then, the silent, buff assistant appeared, catching Mokrin's eye. She stared a bit, thinking, wow, he's really strong. I wish I were that strong. Yonyang noticed her gaze and immediately tried to divert her attention. Hey, how about we build a snow house? Or, snowman making contest. Or let's, look at this tree over here. He bounced from one distraction to another, trying to steer her gaze away from the assistant, who was minding his own business and clearly much more muscular than him. Their master came out and sighed. If you two have this much free time, why don't you go gather firewood? Yonyang quickly jumped in. Master, my wife is far too fragile and delicate for manual labor. The master raised an eyebrow. I wasn't talking about her. I was talking about you. Get going, with the assistant. With a huff, Yonyang readied himself for work and turned to Mokrin. Stay warm inside, okay? And don't leave the house without me, it's far too dangerous out there. Mokrin sat back, feeling a pang of uselessness. Maybe he's right, am I really just a burden? She thought, slumping into a chair. Master noticed her gloomy expression and patted her shoulder. She thought to herself, enough with the negative thoughts, I should keep busy. She tidied the cabin until it was spotless, but even then, she still felt down. The master appeared with a warm drink. Come with me, I want to show you something outside. He chuckled, noticing her hesitation. Don't worry, I'll talk to Yonyang. As they walked, Mokrin wondered, what does master think of me now? He didn't seem so welcoming at first. Breaking the silence, master grinned. Tell me, who do you think would win in a fight, me or your husband? Mokrin chuckled. Oh, you'd win, of course. No one can defeat you, master. The master looked completely flabbergasted. Seriously, Yonyang can't even overpower a wild boar with his bare hands. An old man like me wouldn't stand a chance. They finally reached a towering wall of ice. Mokrin gazed up, impressed. This looks like a challenge even Yonyang would struggle with. Master looked at her thoughtfully. Leaving the only home you've known to fit into a new tribe, it's no small feat. The Gui tribe values physical strength above all else, so it's natural that you might feel out of place. But remember, strength isn't everything. This wall won't fall to brute force. What melts it in the end is gentle sunlight. Mokrin's face lit up as she realized, I'm not a Gui, and I don't have to be. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. Feeling lighter, she smiled. I knew the answer all along, but my insecurities kept me from seeing it. Master chuckled. It's been a while since someone actually listened to me. Yonyang doesn't care for inspirational talk. He'd rather charge forward and say, I am the sunlight. He laughed, and Mokrin joined in, her spirits lifted. That night, as snow began to fall and evening settled in, Mokrin waited anxiously for Yonyang. Even Master looked a bit worried. She glanced outside, seeing the snow picking up, and decided she couldn't just sit by, she had to go find him. Meanwhile, Yonyang and the assistant were trudging through the blizzard. The assistant suggested, "There's a cave nearby, we should stop there." "No," Yonyang snapped. "My wife's waiting. I have to get back to her." "She's fine, Master is with her," the assistant replied. "You don't get it. I need to protect her." Yonyang coughed hard, suddenly feeling dizzy. Blood trickled from his nose, and he stumbled, mumbling, "I have to get back." Just then, he saw a hazy vision of Mokrin and Master running toward him. He blacked out as he collapsed. When he came to, Master was scolding him. "Did you even bother to read the ingredients? You've been overdosing on poisonous plants and venom. No wonder you're bleeding everywhere." Yonyang blinked, groggy and panicked. "Master, am I dying?" He suddenly trembled, grabbing Master by the collar. "Please, I don't want to die. Mokrin and we have a bright future ahead. I beg you." Master rolled his eyes. "I never said you were dying. In fact, by ingesting poison, you've developed resistance. No more nosebleeds." Yonyang shot up with joy, fist pumping. "Yes. No more medicine, no more hiding. I'm poison immune. I'm a beast." Master sighed, muttering, "Strong as a boar and now immune to poison. Some people have all the luck." Then he added, "You know, your stubbornness might be stressing your wife out." Yonyang looked puzzled. "What do you mean?" Master snapped, "You constantly hover over her, stop her from socializing, and forbid her from leaving without you. Do you ever consider how that affects her?" Yonyang looked down, guilt creeping in. I know, but I just can't bear the thought of life without her. If someone took her away." His voice trailed off. Outside, Mokrin listened, heart melting, and walked in, blushing. "Master's right, Yonyang," she said softly. "But I never doubted you were trying to protect me. And it made me realize, I can support you in my own way, too." Yonyang looked at her, moved. "I thought I was keeping you safe, but maybe I was just making things harder." They hugged tightly, and Mokrin laughed as he whispered, "I'm sorry I worried you. But, now that I'm all better, there's something I need to tell you." Blushing, he mumbled, "The nosebleeds were caused by, excessive blood flow to a certain body part." Mokrin turned crimson. "Oh, believe me, Master told me," she said, barely able to look him in the eye. Relieved, he wrapped his arms around her, leaning in with a grin. "No more nosebleeds. Alive and kicking. So, how about," she put a finger to his lips, playfully. "How about just a hug for now?" The next day, as they prepared to leave, Mokrin thanked the Master. "Take care, and keep this in mind," he whispered something in her ear. Just then, Yonyang burst in, looking suspicious. "What was that? Since when are you two best friends?" Mokrin just smiled and thanked Master. "I'll remember what you said." Master gave Yonyang a teasing grin. "Oh, don't worry, she's all yours." As they rode back, Yonyang asked, "By the way, what did Master say to you?" Mokrin giggled. "It's a secret." She spurred her horse, leaving him in her dust. Master's advice echoed in her mind. "Yonyang may be a little dense, but being with you has truly changed him. You're his world now, Mokrin." She smiled, holding his words close. Finally, they reached the village, greeted by vibrant decorations and festival preparations. Yonyang's best friend filled them in. "The inter-tribe tournament is happening soon. Mokrin suggested, let's host it in my village this year. It's the perfect way for my people to understand and appreciate Gui Heal better." Everyone gaped at her, then broke into smiles, agreeing. Yonyang lifted her up, twirling her around. "My wife is a genius." And so, the tournament was set, and Mokrin felt a surge of excitement as she imagined her two worlds coming together. All the Prime Tournament members were soon on their way to Mokrin village. As they arrived, boats filled the harbor, making the villagers wonder if they'd come to invite them to a grand event. As they arrived, Boats filled the harbor, making the villagers wonder if they'd come to invite them to a grand event. But as people disembarked, it was clear they weren't here to cause trouble, just curious travelers chatting among themselves about the quaint village. Mokrin came running to her father and brother. "I hope this isn't too much of a shock for you," she said, trying to catch her breath. "Let me explain why they're all here." Her father was wide-eyed. "So, all these people, they're from the mainland. Beyond the sea." He looked like he'd just seen a ghost. Meanwhile, Yonyang and his friend were watching the waves, contemplating the smooth sailing they'd had. Yonyang's friend joked, "Crossing the sea was easier than I thought. The winds were in our favor, and, hey, no man-eating fish trying to chew our toes off." Yonyang chuckled. Those fish must have been scared off by the sheer number of people crossing the water. They're like monsters, but they turn into bunnies the second they spot too much competition. As evening fell, the villagers and visitors alike gathered for a feast. Barbecue smoke filled the air, and everyone was having a grand time. Mokrin's mother-in-law clinked her glass to get everyone's attention. "Attention, everyone, let's give a big round of applause for Chief Ikman Beck. He's been so kind to host this year's tournament on his island." Some villagers gossiped among themselves, "Is it like this every day on the mainland?" One of the visitors answered with a wry grin, "Hardly. Life's brutal over there. Danger at every turn. It's nothing like this." Another visitor muttered, "You can thank those Gui tribe leaders. They're ruthless. Look at that poor guy from their tribe, bet he was dragged here against his will." Ironically, that same, poor guy, was busy showing off his moves, landing a solid punch to some local bully. Nearby, Yonyang eavesdropped on this conversation, feeling a bit smug. Finally, people were beginning to see his tribe in a different light. Just then, Yundo, his friend, strolled over and sat down. "Yonyang, why are you here?" Yonyang asked, a bit suspiciously. Yundo shrugged, "I'm here for the tournament. And hey, I wanted to say hi to Mokrin." "Where is she?" Yonyang glared. "You better not try anything funny." Yundo chuckled, "Calm down. I admit she's attractive, but don't worry. I'm not here to wreck your marriage. You married the right girl, you know." Yonyang blushed furiously, clearly struggling to hide his feelings. "Oh, that blush is priceless." Yundo teased. "Go on, lover boy, go to your wifey." Yonyang, still red-faced, mumbled, "Mind your own business," and made a quick exit, with Yundo laughing the whole time. Inside the house, Mokrin was having a heart-to-heart with her brother. "These people are good, kind people," she insisted. "That's why I truly believe in them, and my husband especially. He makes me feel cherished and loved." Her brother frowned. "So you don't mind forgetting the atrocities they've committed against our people?" As their conversation continued, Yonyang was heading toward the room, eager to see Mokrin. But as he reached the door, he overheard her brother raise his voice. "So, you admit you didn't love him when you married him?" Yonyang's heart sank. "She didn't love me when we married," he thought, feeling as if the ground was slipping from under his feet. Mokrin sighed. "You're right, brother. I wasn't in love with him back then." Just then, fireworks exploded outside, and Yonyang quickly ducked out, leaving the plate of food he'd brought. Mokrin noticed the food and realized Yonyang must have been eavesdropping. She raced outside to find him. Meanwhile, out at sea, a strange creature stirred among the waves, muttering, "I'm hungry." Ignoring her brother's protests, Mokrin bolted after Yonyang. "Let me go, brother. I need to find him." Her brother tried to stop her. "Forget about him, Mokrin. Come back to your real family." But Mokrin shook him off. "Going back won't change who I've become. I might have married him to keep the peace, but that's not the only reason. I love him now, and nothing you say will change that." Her brother was livid. "Love? You mean you love one of those cursed Yui people?" Meanwhile, Yonyang was wandering through the forest, battling a flood of emotions. "Has she been rejecting me out of fear this whole time?" Just then, Mokrin found him, calling his name. But he whispered to himself, "I see now what I must do. I'll atone for what I've done to her, no matter the cost." He caught sight of Mokrin's brother approaching and raised his sword. So, you want to fight? Mokrin's brother scoffed. Very well. If you think this duel will solve anything, then let's do it. The two men squared off, clashing swords until Yonyang was wounded. Mokrin arrived, horrified at the sight of them fighting. Stop this, she cried, begging for help. But the villagers only shook their heads. Just as her brother prepared to strike again, a massive sea monster emerged from the ocean, tentacles flailing. It lunged toward Mokrin, but Yonyang leapt to protect her. The villagers panicked, scrambling to escape. Yonyang turned to Mokrin. There's a ship anchored on the other side of the island. Get everyone to safety. What about you? She asked, eyes wide with worry. We'll take care of the monster, he replied, giving her a reassuring nod. His friend Yundo chimed in, I've read about creatures like this. They live in the deep sea and only resurface every few centuries. Looks like it's awake now. Yonyang saw a glowing gem embedded in the monster's body. That must be its weak spot. He formulated a plan. Yundo, can you keep one of its tentacles occupied for 10 seconds? Yundo gave him a thumbs up. You got it. Yonyang seized the opening, launching himself at the monster's gem. With a final, powerful strike, he shattered it, and the creature let out a thunderous roar, collapsing into the sea. One side of the island was in chaos as villagers were evacuating, while the brave mainlanders were in a life-or-death battle with the sea monster. Mokrin's brother grabbed her arm. What are you waiting for? Those people can handle themselves. Let's go. Mokrin wasn't having it. You don't get it, she snapped. Those people are risking everything, facing down a monster the size of a mountain, and all for our tribe. I can't just stand by while they sacrifice themselves. I have to help. I may be Cho, but I'm also Gui Hial now, and they are my family too. With that, Mokrin jumped onto a horse and sped off toward the battle, leaving her brother flabbergasted. Meanwhile, Yonyang had managed to wound the monster by stabbing its gem-like weak spot. For a moment, everyone cheered, thinking it was over. But Yonyang's instincts told him otherwise. Wait, why is it still standing? As if on cue, the monster's eyes glowed red, and it roared back to life, much to everyone's horror. Mokrin arrived just in time to see the chaos. Her uncle was already injured, and Yonyang was barely holding on. She remembered her husband's advice and, with all her strength, hurled a spear toward him. Yonyang caught it, impressed, and then struck the monster's core, finally felling it. Just as the monster collapsed, it emitted a noxious cloud. Yonyang, exhausted and wounded, collapsed to the ground. Mokrin tried to run to him, but others held her back, warning her about the poison. When she saw Yonyang lying still, bleeding, Mokrin's heart sank. She knelt beside him, whispering, Yonyang, you taught me so much. You showed me the beauty of sunsets, the joy of laughter, and the warmth of love. I wouldn't trade a single memory. I love you. She took his hand and sobbed. Then, suddenly, Yonyang's eyes opened. Did I just hear you say you love me? Shocked and relieved, she smiled through her tears. Yes, you foolish man. I love you. I chose you, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Her father and brother, watching the scene, were stunned. Her father murmured, my daughter loves this man. One of the villagers piped up, well, we saw it with our own eyes. He saved us from that sea monster. Maybe they try invade us, but I can overlook this. Yonyang's mother, who'd been listening, cleared her throat. Wait, so you thought we came here to invade? Oh, heavens no. We just wanted to get rid of the man-eating fish so we could open up trade between our tribes. Mokrin's father was dumbstruck. So, you didn't come here to take over? Oh, goodness no, she replied. We just wanted to make a grand entrance. You know, first impressions. Well, you sure did, someone muttered. A bit too grand, if you ask me. Finally, both tribes realized their entire conflict had been one massive misunderstanding. With the monster gone and mutual respect blossoming, they agreed to sit down and have a proper conversation. By the next day, Mokrin's father and Yonyang's mother were discussing plans for lasting peace between the tribes. Later, at night, Mokrin felt it was time to confront her husband for hiding his true feelings all this time. She thought of tying him up, but before she knew it, he had her in his arms, pulling her close. He kissed her, ignoring his injuries. "You should rest," she warned, half-heartedly. "Rest? I just fought a monster. I think I deserve a reward." He grinned. Mokrin smirked. "How about you leave some proof of that victory on me, then?" The days passed with peace finally reigning over both islands. Villages began trading, and Mokrin's family even visited her to see her happy life among her new tribe. During one of these visits, Mokrin's father remarked, "You know, maybe living alongside others isn't so bad after all." One evening, as they embraced, Mokrin looked into Yonyang's eyes and told him she had a surprise. "I'm pregnant." Yonyang was over the moon. And there, in that quiet moment, they knew they were finally home, bound by love, unity, and a story for the ages. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications on new content. Share your thoughts in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep imagining and keep creating.